Hi, folks. I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ken Calvert alongside the one, the only. You know him, you love him. How about it for, once again, he's back. It's impossible to keep him down, ladies and gentlemen. Father Joe Grimaldi, and welcome to the podcast. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. The spread of the COVID-19 coronavirus has changed our lives in a way we could have never expected, and we pray for a cure. Our dear friends at Star Lincoln want to first and most importantly thank our incredible frontliners. Thank you. Thank you, first responders. At Star Lincoln, the safety and the health of our customers and staff are our top priority. Now, in accordance with Governor Whitmer's executive order, Star Lincoln's sales departments are now closed. Our service department and body shop remain open, but only between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, to serve your essential needs. Please call 888-356-1278. That number again is 888-356-1278 to schedule your appointment. We wish everyone the best of health in these trying times. For a little background, Father Joe Grimaldi and I recorded this podcast on March 11th, just 16 days ago. Since then, a lot has happened. But I thought it was important to play this podcast because it sort of gives us a chance to take a break from everything we're hearing about the COVID-19 coronavirus, albeit very, very important information. We need little islands where we can go and just sort of have some smiles and take some deep breaths and relax. This podcast talks about Father Joe and the opportunity for those that have the vocation, well, actually two vocations, to not only become a priest, but also wants to serve his country.
I don't care and I don't know as long as I listen to Father Joe.
3, 4, sound off. Here's my question for you. I came across this and I hadn't thought about this as a topic, and now I'm thrilled I did because I'm fascinated by this. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. They all have not just one, but several chaplains. Guys who have devoted their life to not only Jesus Christ, but also the military. You spent a lot of time in Hawaii, and I'm sure you spent a lot of time at Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickman. Tell me a little bit about this. Were you ever curious as to what it might be like, or did you ever want to be a military chaplain?
Ken, I may make you smile at this, but I was a military chaplain.
Oh, no.
I knew you would laugh at that. I don't have my uniform with me, but...
Are you, you son
you
of
make
a
me,
pup?
You do make me smile.
Oh.
But anyway...
You left me dangling for 24 hours. I sent
let me
Father
explain.
Joe an email saying, I want to do a topic about chaplain priests. Okay, go ahead. Tell me the story.
Because of what you already said, the different military bases that exist in Hawaii. By the way, the most beautiful base is the Marine Corps base in Kaneohe, Hawaii. I would say that if they could build a hotel there, it would be the most expensive hotel in all of Hawaii. It is just a spectacular spot that they have that base there, the Marine Corps base. Mm-hmm. You know what I found out the other day, just as an aside? A nickname for the Marines is the Gyrenes. Did you ever hear that before?
Jarheads.
Well, there's Gyrenes as well.
Oh, the Gyrenes. I believe that's an aggregate of the two words Jarhead and Marines. It's kind of a lighthearted insult between Marines, okay? Yeah. Semper Fi, never die.
Correct.
You hear that a lot.
Yeah, we'll see what happens is this week I took advantage of visiting Ave Maria and the university. And that's their nickname for the sports teams, the Gyrenes.
Oh, is that
And
right?
yeah, so I had to, well, I can see where Tom Monahan was interested in promoting that kind of a concept. And so that's a good way of doing it if you want. The only problem is this: most folks who are not connected with the university or with the Marines don't know the Gyrenes has anything to do with the Marines. But, they look it up and they find out, and so it works out okay. But that's not what we're talking about. You mentioned, as they say, the most beautiful base is the Marine Corps base. Navy, of course, Pearl Harbor is a very large base, and right next to it is Hickam, the Air Force base. And Hickam and Pearl Harbor are now sharing a beautiful chapel. It's more like a church. I mean, it's a beautiful, large church. They used to have separate places, but because of the cut in finances and things of this sort, they had to put together some things. So the Marines, the Navy, as well as the Air Force have gotten together. So there's one, and the bases are attached to each other in a way, so that it's very easy to go from one to the other. And so on Sundays, they have a very large audience going to Mass. It's interesting to me. Okay, so how did I ever get involved? I'll explain. The other thing, too, I have to admit, I had a number of friends who were priests but chaplains, and they had full pensions. Now, for example, I have a good friend who was commander, and he retired on a very good salary. A colonel. I had a friend who was an admiral priest, and they named part of the chapel in the naval base in his honor. And so, yes, there are a number of priests that are full-time chaplains, and they also maintain whatever titles they have. And if they retire with those titles, they're compensated according to the titles. So
no kidding. So in other words, if you're 2-star general and you're a Catholic priest, you're getting a fairly nice pension.
Very much. And a commander. A commander gets a lot. Anyway, to make a long story short, my job in Hawaii as the vicar general for the diocese as well as judicial vicar meant that I did not have a church. I was not a pastor. And so I had time to do Mass at different places. Well, there's a real urgency for Catholic chaplains in the service. And so they were looking for them. And I said, okay, I think I can do that. So before I know it, I became a contract worker, which is different than a full-time chaplain.
Yeah.
A contract worker gets paid according to whatever it is that he's doing. I even had the privilege of doing confirmation on the bases because of my background as a vicar general. So I was able to do confirmations. Now, mind you, I have to admit, that was not my full-time job by any means, but I was a contract worker for military. It's interesting, too, that just last week, I get a reminder because there's a need for naval chaplains. Would I be interested in applying? And I'm thinking, my God, if they're going to 80-year-olds for that, I'm really, I have to smile. So they're looking for someone. They want me to apply. I don't think they know who I am.
Oh, come on, do it.
A general
do
thing.
Do it. Come on. It would be great.
In Detroit, too. So a naval chaplain.
Oh, really?
In yes.
Oh.
So that would be interesting. But anyway.
Boy, that would be huge.
To
That'd be
answer
great.
your
Sorry.
question.
Selfishly, I'm sorry. I'm going to talk over him right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please let him take it. Please let him take it. Just think of what it would do for the podcast. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So basically, yes, there are people with ranks, and when they retire with those ranks, they get paid accordingly.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's talk about this too. God bless the priests that went through both World War I, World War II, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan deployments. These are priests that have probably elected to put themselves in harm's way. And I'm sure through especially World Wars I and II, we lost a lot of priests.
There is a priest who is now up for canonization. because of what
Yeah.
you just said.
Yep.
And it's I wish I could remember, it's an Italian name, and he is from the East Coast originally, and he did a lot of work. First, he was a Maryknoll father who went into the service, and he put himself right in the midst of danger, and eventually he did die. He's up for canonization, choosing to be a chaplain, just as you say.
All right, I was listening, but I did look this up while you were talking. His name is Father Vincent Robert Capodanno. He was a Roman Catholic priest and a Maryknoll, as you mentioned, was killed in action while serving as a United States Navy chaplain assigned to a Marine Corps infantry unit during the Vietnam War. He was a posthumous recipient of America's highest military decoration, the Medal of Honor, for his heroic actions above and beyond the call of duty. The Catholic Church has declared him a servant of God, the first of 4 stages toward possible sainthood. Take me through the process, all right? So I decide my vocation is to become a Catholic priest. And I'm ordained a Catholic priest. Then, by the very nature of the priesthood, I'm assigned by my superiors to work at a certain parish. How do I separate myself from that assignment and say, I have another calling besides being a Catholic priest? I also want to be a member of the military. How do I do that?
There are 2 ways. First of all, I would ask for a conference or a discussion with the bishop.
Okay.
Because once you're ordained, you have an obligation to that particular bishop, whatever the diocese is. So you would sit down with him and explain your situation. If he sees fit, he would allow you to go into the service, whether it be the Air Force or the Navy or whatever. You have certainly whatever choice you make on that. But there's another choice. I think every country has a military archdiocese. Right now in the United States, we have a military archdiocese. The bishop of that is Archbishop Broglio, Broglio. Mm-hmm. He is the head of the military archdiocese. So that even you can completely skip the diocesan part and join the military archdiocese to do your training and things of that sort under them. So you become attached to that military archdiocese. So there are 2 ways that you could do that. First, by being ordained in whatever diocese you come from, or by going directly to the archdiocese of the military.
If you were to be a member of the military, whatever branch it would be, rank is the same no matter what. Would I refer to you as corporal, lieutenant colonel, or as Father Grimaldi?
Your sister would call you Ken. Okay.
You're a beauty. I'm telling you what. I'm coming over there, Grimaldi, and boom, to the moon.
I knew you would love it.
Yeah.
But anyway, to answer your question, there are a couple of things. Number one, if he's known by others, he's going to be called Father, okay, depending on how well he's known by the others. If not, his comrades, if you want, that's not a good word to use, his confreres would call him according to his rank if they were not on equal basis. So yes, they would respect all of the military protocol, if you want, and so they would call him by whatever title he has.
In other words, I'm getting clever here. When the priest walks in and he's got rank over the other soldiers, they stand no matter what. Well, in a Catholic Mass, you have to stand anyway, right? When the priest walks on the altar for the most part.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So you said that at one point you dipped your toe into, as a part of your responsibility, saying Masses at various bases. How different is that in what I'll call a normal church versus a military church, or isn't it?
Not too different, but I'll tell you this much. When you're preaching, you preach according to the audience, okay? Mm-hmm. So this morning, I had the grade school, which included fifth graders, eighth graders, seventh graders, first graders, and so on. You're certainly not going to speak with them the same way you speak with my 8 o'clock mass, which is all people over 70 in a way, okay? But a lot of people who have experienced life in a whole different way than a elementary school. Now, when you're speaking to the military, you're speaking to a combination of military people themselves, but also their families that are visiting. See, in Hawaii, there's this constant group of people visiting the bases because it's such a nice place to visit. So they get a chance to see their sons and they spend time with them, depending again on their ranks. They sometimes have big rooms and they have big houses they live in. They live in beautiful ways, okay? And so, they can have the family over and spend time with them. So you speak with them differently. And the reason I say differently, because they come to the military with different motivation. I once felt so sorry. My heart went out to this guy who was probably 20. I don't think he was more than that. And he was in tears. He didn't want to stay. He wanted to leave. He had no idea how to go about it. He made a mistake by joining, and it was the Navy. And he says, I want out. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't want to be here. I feel like a prisoner. Why am I here? Well, your heart goes out to that individual, huh? And you have to speak with him differently than you do with the one who is fully in charge of himself, and he knows what he's doing. He's happy. He's moving forward with his life. So when you are preaching to a group of people that come from different places, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, you have to try to keep that stuff in mind so that when you compose your words to the congregation, you don't take those things for granted.
Selfishly, what happened? Did he stay or leave?
I have no idea.
Okay. Do military bases have their own church?
Yes.
They construct a Catholic church on the base?
No. They construct a church.
Oh.
Different denominations can use that church.
I see.
So that, and they share the times and so on and so forth. So, however, there's, depending on where you are, there seems to be a greater number of Catholics involved because they're always looking for Catholic chaplains.
Right.
And there seems to be a lot of Catholics involved in the military. And so one of the things I think that happens is with the Catholics, they deal a lot with human values, and not that others don't, but I think the Catholics seem to really emphasize that. And so as a kid is growing up, he feels an obligation to serve his country by going into one of those. Now, I'm saying that at the risk of downgrading other denominations. I don't mean that at all, okay? Other denominations are there as well. And so that, on Sunday, you would have a service for the Baptists, you would have a service for the Episcopals, and then there would be a service for the Jews. So depending on the needs, the various branches of the military, they certainly open themselves up to serving all of the people that are there.
If I'm a family member and I'm visiting my brother who's in the military, can I go to Mass with him?
Definitely, yeah, and that's what happened.
Would I notice anything different? Would everybody be, obviously, you wear your uniform, correct, to Mass?
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Oh, so there are no requirements, there's nothing in protocol with the military saying, make sure when you go to Mass you wear your dress, whatever.
No,
okay.
No. They come with whatever clothes they have.
Okay, all right. But some wear uniform.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Did you, selfishly, the fun part of the podcast for me, did you have a uniform?
Oh, no. I didn't have any rank. I was contract.
Oh, okay. Selfishly again, didn't you kind of want to get a uniform? Did you ever think about how? Did Didn't you ever wonder what you'd look like in a uniform?
I can only imagine.
You watch, come on, you watch television, You watch some of these shows. I mean, come on, but...
Well, when nobody's looking, I'll put on the cap, you know what I mean?
On a serious note, you being a little older than I am, you remember World War II, correct? A little bit?
Yes.
Did you ever come across any priests in your career that served in World War II and were in the front lines? Then you had a chance to have coffee or dinner and talk about that?
I wish I had, but no, I haven't.
Yeah. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I have a distant relative who is a Jesuit, and he's in the military, and he's all in. He's all in. He's in San Diego, and I think from the moment I think 4 or 5 years after being ordained a Jesuit priest, he joined the military, and he is all in. He's probably retired by now, but I found it fascinating because you're basically juggling 2 careers, military and that of being a Catholic priest. No or yes?
I don't know if there's any juggling going on because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're directing your efforts toward the military, so you're not directing them as a layman, you're directing them as a priest. And so you have to make sure that you're aware of all of the messages that come from Rome. You have to make sure that you're aware of whatever liturgy is concerned. You have to make sure of the various seasons of the church. But it's not separate from what another priest would do in a parish. It's separate in the sense that they're not living in the same way. But I don't think they're juggling anything.
Most difficult question for me to ask at this point, as we get near the end. If I'm not mistaken, Hawaii is also a receiving area for those that may have been lost overseas. Did you ever welcome home those that paid the ultimate price?
No.
You didn't do that?
No,
okay.
No. It's not as common as you might think. Very often it's a private ceremony.
I didn't realize that. I would have assumed that there would have been some sort of a chaplain present.
Oh, there might be, yeah. And then again, they don't distinguish for stuff like that. If they can't get the Catholic chaplain, they'll get another chaplain.
Right.
However, they try to get the Catholic chaplain if the person was Catholic.
Yeah. All right, so how do we get you to consider becoming a member of the military and here in the Detroit area? How about you and I work on this? I mean, I don't know if I can still join the military. I'll join with you if you'll do it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I would say there's a little saying that says, when pigs fly.
Did you just call me a pig?
No, not at all.
Well, I'm not having bacon. It's Lent. We've got so many different things we can talk about. Coming down the pike, by the way, we're going to talk about all sorts of interesting topics. One being women deacons in the church. That is seeming to gain some popularity, along with another topic that we had hoped to get to, but we'll get to it next time when we talk blended families within the Catholic Church. So we've got a lot of topics for you, but I want to thank you for a great job as always.
Well, thank you, and I look forward to seeing everybody the next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of yours truly, Ken Calvert, and Lieutenant General Father Joe Grimaldi, I would like to thank you for joining us.
Believe me, he has not had anything to drink yet.
Ladies and gentlemen, at ease, this podcast is officially over. I'm Ken Calvert alongside Father Joe Grimaldi. We'll see you next week on the Father Joe Podcast.
And I look forward to it. Thank you. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe Podcast.
We'd like to remind you to share the Father Joe Podcast with your friends. You can reach Father Joe at frjoepodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on Facebook or say, Alexa, play the Father Joe Podcast. We look forward to seeing you next time.